Hi, welcome to another episode of First Connect. This is a webcast of First Baptist Church of Fayetteville that makes a bridge from one Sunday to the next, making connections with people, places, programs, things we do here at First Baptist Church, right, David?
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, so things going on this week. Well, let's talk about next week for a second.
Oh.
Is that okay?
Oh, that's good, in fact.
Next week is a holiday week. It will be Labor Day week, and so we're taking the week off. So there won't be a First Connect episode next week.
Wait. We're not taking the week off.
Okay, well.
like you and I will be up at the office,
okay.
Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, some interpret the way you do things as taking a week off, but I'm just kidding.
So,
True.
There will be no First Connect next week is what I know what you're getting at. I just want to be clear. We'll be putting in some time up here next week.
But we won't be here on Monday like normal when we do
Exactly.
this episode. So we've just killed about 3 minutes of this show for you just to laugh at us.
because that's what we do here on First Connect.
So what about home front this week? Anything on the home front?
Man, a couple of things. Rachel's 7th birthday was this past week. My second of 4 children. Rachel is 7 years old now, first grader.
She's big.
We're getting her little brother Nathan, who's a kindergartner this year, broken into life as new kid on the pew.
New kid on the pew.
I just want to apologize anybody that happens to be seated forward where the Powell family tends to.
I gotta stop him.
Tends to sit.
Don't pick on. I want to stop every young dad from picking on their little boys. Let the boys be boys.
We're working on how not to crumple too much paper and be too loud during church service and whatnot. But what I actually wanted to get to was wish a happy 94th birthday to my grandpa pal Curtis Powell Senior, who goes here.
94.
I think Lance, I've shot you a few pictures from that day. So we did a vehicular parade around the retirement home where he lives.
That's fantastic.
And enjoyed some cake there the other day. It was
Great
a good
celebration.
Time. How about you?
So my mom didn't celebrate a birthday, but that just made me think about talking to my mom. I talk to my mom sometimes more than once a week, but at least once a week on the phone. She's there in the Oklahoma City area. She is a Sunday school teacher in her church. And so I have conversations. A lot of our conversations are about how things going in church. It's the church I grew up in since I was 11 years old. Mm-hmm. She's still there, and she's teaching Sunday school. She teaches a group of ladies about her age in her Sunday school department. And so they've been back in live person Sunday school for quite a while now, since the 1st of June.
Oh, wow.
They mask up there, and she's teaching a group of about 8 ladies. Normally she would have 12 to 15, but with all this, about 8 ladies are showing up. Just a couple of Sundays ago, the couples class in that same department, they've got a couple of different teachers that teach that group. So they kind of trade off. A couple of men teach that couples class. And on that Sunday morning, a couple of weeks ago, the director of the department looks up and they're getting ready to break up in their groups and said, who's teaching our couples class? Because she noticed that the 2 teachers weren't there. The 2 guys that got their schedules mixed up, neither one of them showed up that day. They were both out of town or something. And so the director starts to say, so who could be teaching today? And my mom, who is prepared to teach a lesson to her 8 ladies,
right?
She was already on track. She says, Lance, I was already picking up my stuff, moving, and I slipped out the door real quick because I did not want to teach the whole group. Just wasn't going to do it. And I was like, Mom, way to step up.
Absolutely.
Just some funny things that happen in the life of church, not just here, but there as well. So some home front stuff with my mom there as well. Church happenings.
All kinds of stuff happening here too. So we record this on a Monday. So I'm speaking of yesterday, Sunday. We had some folks back. I'm just telling you. Somebody got a count that had us in the low 300s or so, something like 320 when you put in a few people in the chapel, nursery, that kind of stuff. Yeah. There were people here. So my way of putting this would be to say that we are at responsibly distanced capacity in the sanctuary right now.
We are. Another way to say that is we maxed out.
We are maxed.
We did overflow here into the chapel. So we record the show here in the chapel, and about 8 people overflowed into here. So we have a room to fit about 40, maybe 40 in this room. So we've still got some overflow capacity. Watching it, of course, on a screen in here, live what's going on in the sanctuary as well. But we understand that's not ideal as well, because you can stay at home and watch it on a screen if you want. So we've got a plan.
Hey, we have plans, and Lance, we actually think we know what's going to happen here.
We like to think we do.
But we're gonna refrain for once and not say things maybe we're not supposed to. I don't know if we're talking about things or not, but there's a plan being put together on how we'll handle increased numbers.
Exactly. I think
there will be a place for you. Don't be concerned about whether you should come or not. We will make sure you've got a place to go.
Yeah, you kind of used the word earlier, expansion possibilities for that same worship hour. And so probably even this Sunday, we'll be able to share a little bit more details about how that's going to work. And also know here in about 2 or 3 weeks, there's going to be more room to be gathering with other people in the community to worship together as well. In the life of the church, we get to do a lot of things. We get to celebrate life in so many ways, from weddings to anniversaries to the birth of kids, those kind of things. And we get to celebrate lives that have gone on before us. And so we're dressed a little differently. We both had ties and suits on earlier because we attended a funeral earlier today, which we're recording this on Monday. It was a funeral of Fenner Stewart, and a man of faith as well, and went home too early for any of us and all. But we want to just say thanks to the family for sharing what you shared today about his life. You actually sung with a group in that. So what was the song you sung in that funeral?
The very last song that it concluded on was "Your First Day in Heaven," which I'll tell you, I'd never heard before. Actually,
it is a fun song.
I think it was from like the 40s or the 50s Southern gospel. I know a fair bit of Southern gospel. I'd never heard this one before. And so I had to get brushed up on this song to be able to sing that. But it was an honor to get to sing in Fenner's funeral today, the celebration of his life. A few years ago, I'm going to say about 4 years ago or so, we got to feed the we got to feed the FHS football team.
Okay.
And I'd gone up to their Sunday school department where the stewards are, just to put out word of, hey, I would love to have some adults come and help put this meal together. And the very first ones to respond to the call there were Carolyn and Fenner Stewart. Just to see them pounding away, working in the kitchen here, getting things ready, where we're going to go cook 150 hamburgers off over at the football field. And then I got to do a little devotional time there. Seeing Fenner slaving over the hot grill there with the burgers there. It was expressive of their heart. Carolyn was a longtime teacher at FHS, and Fenner spent some time teaching. What was the expression that was used? Troubled youth from troubled backgrounds.
Okay, yeah.
Like that's just something of who those guys are and who Fenner was. So it was a joy. It was an honor to get to sing in his funeral today.
Yeah, it was a special time for that. So continue to remember the Stewart family in your prayers for sure. Kind of last thing on church front, things that are happening. Sunday school, we started in-person Sunday school yesterday.
Yep.
Just getting in and out of the building and navigating halls and having more people here. It was pretty electric in one sense. Really, just having more people here, getting to see some folks as well. So we want to encourage you to come. I think we've got a pretty good plan on how to navigate through our facility in various ways, so we can kind of keep the traffic patterns flowing in some right directions, so we're not bunching up too much in certain areas. So if you got any questions about that, just holler at us, or maybe check out the episode we did just a couple weeks ago on First Connect as well. It kind of it gives you a little tour of our facilities as well. You did an interview, right?
I did. Got to sit down with Daniel Goff and Harrison Smiley right here. This weekend. I was there, I think in my running clothes, about to take off for some exercise right after that.
Nice.
But got to do that interview with those guys, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
All right.
Hey everybody, welcome to another interview with me, David, with no Lance here on First Connect. Sitting down with a couple of my students right now. Fellas, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, David.
These are actually have been a couple of my regular broadcast partners. This is one of 2 webcasts I've been doing. We wrapped the JoeCast, which was our youth webcast we were running all through the quarantine period. Did 20 episodes. For about the last 5 episodes or so, we made something of a team. Daniel was sort of a guest host with my original host, Joe King, and me all the way through. But we've done this a fair bit at this point.
We have.
Oh, yeah. We're doing well, fellas?
I think so.
You get close experience.
Hey, Daniel, why don't you lead the charge for us? You guys take a moment just to introduce yourselves to the people out there that might not know you.
All right. So I'm Daniel Goff. I'm 16 years old. I'm the 11th grade. So I'm homeschooled also. So
where do you fall in the birth order, Daniel?
I am the last of 7, and I'm the youngest by 7 years.
What's that like?
Well, I've been alone at my house for like 4 years now because my brother's in college. So it's kind of lonely and boring.
But you're almost through it.
Almost.
You're almost through it. Harrison, introduce yourself, man.
I'm Harrison Smiley. I'm 17 and I'm a senior in high school.
Excellent. So Harrison, your family just moved back to the States from Suriname about a year and a half ago. Is
Yes.
that right? So, somewhere around there. You guys came, and I had no idea there was this potential that you guys might be looking to join a church, and all of a sudden realized, hey, these guys have been in the mission house, but they're not just going to move back out into the field. Like, you guys actually came and settled, which has been a pretty cool thing. Talk to us just a little bit about what was your family off doing in Suriname, and then I think after that I'll ask you a little bit about what has it been like for you guys to transition back.
Okay.
But talk to us a little bit about life on the field.
So we were in Suriname for 7 years. Suriname is a small country in South America. It's north of Brazil. Contrary to popular belief, it is not in Africa.
Remember that, Erica.
Way too often.
Yeah. Okay.
We worked in the jungles of Suriname. So there was one main city where we would spend a little bit of our time, but we mainly were in the jungle for the most part.
So some out there might not recognize it by the name Suriname. Its old name was, of course, Dutch
Guyana, thank you.
right? Like
yeah.
for all of our geography buffs of days past out there,
Yes.
this is Dutch Guyana. I was actually reading on Suriname not too long ago, and it is a really diverse country
It
apparently,
is.
with a lot of languages and
Very
a
much
lot of
is.
people groups and that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about the people group that you guys were dealing with?
Yeah, so we were working with a Maroon tribe in the jungle of Suriname. So they were slaves that were brought over back when it was a Dutch-controlled country to work on the sugar cane and coffee plantations. So they escaped into the jungle and have since, formed their own language and their own culture there. And so we were there ministering to them.
Okay. Now, I've put you on the spot here, I think, to do this before, but would you be able to say something along the lines of, "Hi, everybody, my name is Harrison Smiley in Saramaccan." Can we do that?
I think I can do that.
All right, give us a shot. Let's see what it sounds like.
Ideno mfanangkui. Minera hali no. That's all I got. Because my brain stopped going places because you told me what to say.
Did you say
anything else.
Harrison?
I said Holly, which was my
Holly?
Saramaccan name, yeah.
Okay.
Can we call you Holly?
If you want to call me Holly,
Daniel,
sure.
you might want to make a mental note. It's always a dangerous
I'm
thing
remembering
to
that.
give us nickname and ammunition inside of youth group because, as you know.
Yeah, I'm fully
As you
aware
know.
what happens here.
Hey, go ahead and tackle that other question I'd thrown out there as well on what has it been like for you guys to transition back now? Like, what's been easiest? What's maybe been a little bit more difficult for you in transitioning?
Right. So a lot of people might be surprised that I'd say it's actually considerably harder transitioning back into the U.S. rather than it was transitioning there. I guess it's because of the years of my life where I was overseas, and then the fact that it very much is very different from Suriname, and just the way you live, the way the store, like just everything is set up completely differently, and it was just a big transition back.
What's different about the way that you live here versus the way you would live there?
In Suriname, everything was just slow. Like, it happened when it happened. We called it jungle time. Like, when you gonna go do that? Whenever I feel like it, whatever. Here, it's like, I gotta do this, and this, and this, and all done today, and, it's just a slower way of life, I feel like.
Gotcha. Well, so fellas, 2020 has been a little bit of a different kind of year.
It has.
I think we're all pretty resolved that hashtag 2020 will be its own thing in days to come.
Oh, for sure.
2019, 2020 was not exactly the youth year that we were planning. Guys, tell the people what's been different about our year.
Well, for one, you can't see anybody in 2020.
Right.
And we take it a lot for granted that we can see people. And then when you can't, you really know how much you like it.
It's very true.
It's a little bit difficult to be a youth group when you can't gather. That's a
Really?
big
Very.
part. It's a big part of what it is to be a church, but there's a special measure of this in youth group world where we got to be able to
There is.
be together to do normal Christian youth group life. It's been a strange one.
Yes.
What was it like a year before? Or, Daniel, walk us back several years. So Harrison's only been here a year and a half. Almost half of his experience with us here has been this.
which is really sad.
Talk to us a little bit about days past. Like, what are some memories you've got along the way? What are some things that are kind of hallmarks, defining characteristics of youth group here?
Well, I mean, you've got camps, obviously.
Right.
We've had those.
Where have you gone to camp?
I've been to Camp Siloam, Student Life Camp
Where?
in Louisiana.
Okay, Ruston,
Yes.
Louisiana.
Yep.
You've been there.
Louisiana Tech University. That's
Okay.
what it was.
I was there that time.
And Harrison was
Was.
there. What
Yeah.
what other kinds of things though?
You're forgetting.
So
the
we do things
classroom.
like retreats.
Yeah,
We do things
yes.
like Mission Arlington, Texas. Over spring break, to which you've been.
I've been 5 times.
I think it's 3 times that we've been, and this was supposed to have been the 4th one
times.
this year. Am I correct about that?
That's right.
I'm correct about that. So you've been there like all the way through with us, basically. I think that was a pretty good picture for the people out there.
Yeah.
Youth group is like what?
Yeah.
What are things like here? How would you describe our youth group to people, Daniel? And then we'll pass this off to Harrison.
I mean, our youth groups, it's really welcoming. We have great times together. We love each other. It's really great to see just a group of people that really want to have it much in common, that can come and gather around something central as Christ and really get to know each other and be friends.
So one of those things Daniel's talking about that we wouldn't necessarily have all these things in common. This has just been true, especially for the past few years, is how many school districts people in our youth group, active people in our youth group, come from. Let's just take a shot at this real quick. We'll pass this down.
Yeah.
So we have some who come from Fayetteville.
Fayetteville,
Well, Greenland,
Farmington,
I'll go Huntsville,
Huntsville,
West
Siloam.
Fork.
West Fork, Siloam. We've
Homeschooled
got Shiloh.
had
We have
Bentonville for a
homeschool. We've had some Rogers. We've got multiple parts of Springdale. We've had Fayetteville Christian. I feel like we're missing something at least.
Thaden.
Haas.
Thaden up in Bentonville. We've got
Yes.
Huss Hall here in Fayetteville. We just have students who do a lot of different kinds of schooling here. It's like
we
that's a
do.
part of who we are. But then, like you're talking about, we come together and find like a special kind of unity here. I mean, like these are active students in our church who come from a bunch of different places, and we find like a pretty special mark of unity here. Harrison, you've been here just a little over a year with us.
Yep.
As I was saying, like almost half of your experience has been this quarantine experience. But,
ridiculous.
How would you describe your time here as a part of youth group?
I'd say, like Daniel said, your youth group here is very inviting to new people.
Okay.
It's very easy to come and integrate yourself into it. You guys play some great games beforehand.
Amen.
Brilliant.
That's what we
Like,
do.
just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
That's right.
I mean, dodgeball last year was legendary.
It was. Absolutely, it was. And things have been a little bit different in the quarantine period. So obviously, we couldn't gather, so we had to shut down Sunday school. We had to shut down Wednesday nights. We didn't go to Arlington 3 different times. We didn't go to camp. We canceled the Utah mission trip as well.
I
Like,
forgot about
just
that.
everything has been different.
Has been.
And so we ran a little webcast for about 20 episodes or so, something similar to this, but more youthy and with much more inside language that we can't share here, or it wouldn't make any sense to anybody out there.
If it did, we'd be concerned.
If you did, we would be a little bit concerned. But we've come through that, and this past Wednesday night, we actually had our first Wednesday night back. Daniel's leading worship for us this year. Actually did like an outstanding job. It just occurred to me, it just hit me in the last month that you even play guitar.
Surprise.
Quite well.
Picked it up over quarantine.
He's been putting in the work. So that's going really well. Guys, what are hopes for the new year? What are you hoping? What would make for a really good year in youth this year? Harrison, you want to jump in there first for us? Like what? You can talk about this on a personal side, but also, what do you want to see happen with our youth group?
Personally, I'd really like to go on some more youth trips.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to go on a lot of those because I was out of country.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're praying for an end to the coronavirus.
Yes, that
okay,
is very
all right,
much so.
So that's a part. What else we got?
I also would love to see the youth group grow over
Okay.
the next year.
Okay. How about you yourself? Do you have any like personal goals that you want to chase over the course of this year? Like what would make for a really good year for Harrison Smiley?
graduating would be nice.
Okay. We set these goals high here at First Baptist Fayetteville.
Obviously.
Yes, we do.
Gotcha.
Winning jungle pong. That
Okay.
would be fun.
Okay.
Haven't done that yet.
You want to talk anything about like a deepening relationship with the Lord in any way?
I'm trying, but I'm coming up with this stuff on the spot. And it's really hard.
Excellent. Let me pass this off to Daniel. Daniel, what would make for a really good year?
For me personally, or for the youth group?
All inclusive.
All inclusive. For the youth group, I'd probably say if we could do more outreach than we've been doing, grow our numbers, but more than that, grow in Christ more.
See what a good
Growing.
answer that was.
Exactly.
My answer, but longer.
It's got Jesus streak
It
in it.
was. It was. No, it's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then for me personally, grow in what I know, not just in the Bible, theology, stuff like that, but just in general, just knowledge of how to live, how
Sure.
to act.
Wisdom, I think we call that. I think we've been
Exactly.
talking about that a little bit in the
Been
book
through
of Proverbs
Proverbs.
over the
Yes.
last few months as well.
Stuff
Well, guys,
like
we
that.
also have spent some time, you guys and a few other guys, we've gotten to sit down most weeks and do some discipleship time together. Have you guys gleaned anything from that? Like, is there anything maybe you've picked up? So, Daniel, we started with this. You, Levi, and I started meeting back in the fall. Harrison got to jump in there with us in the spring. I don't know. Are there any things that you guys have picked up and stand out there?
I think one thing, just we've been going through 2 Corinthians, and like we haven't just been getting the little nuggets here and there, but we're getting like the whole picture of the book, like how it fits in, how this something here fits in with this something back there, and just seeing how interwoven it is. And that's something that I haven't really done that much, getting the full picture, just getting the little things here and there. And it's good to know how to do that.
Get the full flow of argument in a book like that. Excellent. Anything you want to tack on? Similar things?
Give me a second. There's a lot of stuff.
I'll just say it's been an enjoyable time for me because there are several things we've done it different ways in different seasons, and we've been meeting over Zoom, for the last few months while we've been in the middle of this quarantine. So some things that we get to do in that time is we get to pray together.
Yeah.
Go through different phases. That we had at one time we had our specific prayer lists of Daniel and Levi. What specific guys are you praying for? We're talking about approaches to sharing the gospel. We're talking about, did we study 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus? Now we're in 2 Corinthians at this point. We went through Philippians, I believe. We read a book back in the fall, doing those kinds of things. It's just been a joy for me to get to sit down and do those things with you guys. I did want to ask you guys both about this because you are both homeschoolers. I grew up public school all the way. Public school, kindergarten, all the way through. Went to the University of Arkansas, public education. So I am... homeschool is kind of a second language for me, if you will. I don't come from this as my primary culture, but you guys talk to me a little bit about it. What is it like growing up as homeschoolers, as homeschool Christians?
Right. Well, your main friends are
He's
people
going to talk for
from
a
the
while
church.
about this probably, but go.
Oh, I can talk about this for ages. Don't worry, I'll keep it under your 25-minute
Yeah,
time
okay,
limit,
okay,
David.
yeah.
Well, first of all, your main friends are those of in your church.
Okay.
So when your church says, "Hey, bring a friend," much harder than the public schoolers.
My friends are already here. That's right.
Exactly.
That's
Or
right.
you're trying to pull a friend from a different church, and I don't think that's right. So that's that seems like conflicting of interest. But
We don't necessarily push that, but if it happens, we won't necessarily complain, Harrison. I think it's my general rule. That's fair.
Yeah.
Daniel, anything on homeschool? You've done it almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Last year you guys did something a little different.
Yeah. I've been homeschooled all my life except last year.
Okay.
I wanted the experience of I've always wanted to go to school, and I went to school last year. Honestly, 8 to 3 wasn't that appealing to me. I felt like we
wasn't worth it,
wasted so
was
much
it?
time. No.
Yeah.
It was nice getting to hang out with people and make friends.
More than just your
outside of
mom?
church.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But I'm going back to homeschooling this year.
wise.
Cool. Well, we just got a couple minutes. What are some what kind of activities are you up to this year, Daniel? What do you have going on beyond church and going to school at your house?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm running cross country with Springdale High School, that's new.
Yeah.
Because I've run cross country 1 year before.
At a
With
much lower
a school with like 4 guys running cross country, and now there's like 25 of us guys on this cross country team that I'm on this year.
Very different.
Very different environment.
Very different. Gotcha. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. Anything else going to fill up the senior year for you, Harrison? We talked on the Jokecasters a few weeks ago. We debated this on finding a job. How do we feel about?
I'm getting my resume together, David.
Where are we looking? Where are we going?
At Chick-fil-A.
Which
David.
one?
College.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
So he may be
Good
joining
stuff.
Potentially.
joining.
haven't
Chandler
actually got the
McGugan
job
at this
yet.
church is a
Yes.
manager out there, and Georgia Peters, one of
Yes.
our other students, also already works out
She
there.
does.
Seems like an excellent way to go.
It
Well, good.
does.
Exactly. Who doesn't want to work at Chick-fil-A?
That's what I'm saying. Like free Chick-fil-A.
Well, let me just hit you guys with one more thing. Is there anything that you'd say just over the past few months, maybe even just past couple of weeks, you've been really challenged with, and you feel like you're learning right now? Or if I could rephrase that question, what is the Lord teaching you right now? Either one of you want to field that first?
Yeah, I got something.
Do it.
So I really feel like the Lord's been teaching me lately how to pray better. Because I'm a good speaker, but for whatever reason, praying's always been kind of difficult for me. And so I really feel like he's been teaching me lately how to do that well and how to do it the right way.
Okay, from a right heart. Good, good.
A lot of things lately, but one thing I'll go with, just getting into the Word every day, getting into prayer every day, just how important that is. Like on the days that I don't, I can tell there's a difference.
Yeah.
And so just the importance of getting to the Word every day, especially when you're not being able to come to church on Wednesdays and Sundays and it's just online. It's even more important now, but it's always important.
Absolutely. Good.
For sure.
Well, guys, thanks for sitting down to talk. Much enjoyed. I'm looking forward to doing this year in youth ministry with you guys, and we hope you guys have enjoyed this little sit down time.
Well, David, so yes, you did that interview without me.
I did.
I'm amazed, but
Hey,
you went Lone Ranger on me. I showed up, and you were already in the middle of the interview.
it's true. At the very end, you rolled in. Let me just say this, Lance.
Okay,
You were really missed for that interview.
I can tell.
Or more specifically, your equipment was missed for that interview
There.
because I was using my laptop and then my little webcam from my computer, which is not as good as your equipment.
So you
I
just love me for my toys.
I
huh?
just
Thank you.
want you to know, Lance, your equipment was really missed during that interview.
Okay, well, at least I can buy you off still.
The interview that was,
Yes.
what did you get out of it? What did you take away from
Well,
it?
it was really great. I really enjoyed it. Those two guys, real poised young men, but yet fun. I have a good time, and they were real about some things as well. I love that you got to catch them off guard a little bit here and there, and that was kind of fun. And they handled it really well from you as well. But as far as what I grabbed out of that, I think back to one of the things that Daniel said in there about the whole COVID thing, life getting shut down, not getting to be able to gather. You know, his words there, I believe they were, when you can't get together and see one another, that really, when you can, you realize how much you like it.
Mhm.
And that was kind of big. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. But just, I think back about the youth ministry days that I used to do when I was doing youth ministry as well, and that, man, youth ministry, the staple of youth ministry is gathering for different things, getting together, doing stuff together, being together, because parents want that to be happening.
Right.
They want a good thing for their kids to be a part of so they can socialize well and do that in an environment that's safe and encouraging and growing them in their faith. And so what was that like? You talked a little bit about it in the interview, but speak to that a little bit more and just some of the challenges of youth ministry maybe, and maybe what we might take away from all this eventually too.
So we were doing our spring semester as normal. We just finished up Disciple Now.
Mm-hmm.
We were a week and a half from going into Mission Arlington over spring break.
So it's a mission trip.
Tradition for us. We've been doing this for 4 years, going on mission to Arlington, Texas. And we realized, we're not going.
Oh man,
it's not going to happen. And so we tried. And so, okay, we can't do it in March. We'll bump something and put it into summer, and we'll put it in early June. Yeah. Beginning of May is rolling around. We're like, this thing's not gone yet. We're still in this. Okay, we're going to put this very end of July, just to make sure that we can do this trip.
We'll do it in July.
And we weren't able to do it then. We didn't get to go to camp. We were supposed to go visit our partners at Redemption Church in Ogden, Utah. Had to shut that down as well. You just think about, you spend even more days in youth ministry than I have. I'm 13 years in now. The idea of losing your summer programming,
Oh man,
with all the things that happen in life out on the road and those just the highs, the camp high that people talk about. Now, you don't need to live on camp highs, but the idea of not getting those focused weeks together away from distraction and everything else that goes into regular life here. That was pretty hard.
Yeah, I always thought of it this way, that summer was kind of that Acts 2 part of church for youth ministry, that they shared meals together, they took care of one another. That's really came alive in the summertime for youth ministry, because you were together a whole bunch
meeting
more.
Together day after day.
Yeah, and that went away.
Absolutely. And so we see this in youth ministry, wanting to use summertime really as your bridge time from the end of a school year to the beginning of the next one, where you finish well, you put a wrap on the previous year, you put a wrap on the careers, let's say, of your seniors, and you want to send them off well, give them give the ones behind them that they've been influences on an opportunity to say goodbye. And giving those seniors the opportunity to maybe leave them with one more thing, one more thought when I get out of here. Not getting to have that moment, and that moment of kind of handing the baton off to the juniors and to the sophomores of like, you guys are the leaders here. Now, that's pretty hard. So we lost the end of the school year coming into summer. We lost summer itself, but the coronavirus is still not gone. And so then trying to come into a new school year where, again, so Josh's term for it is welcome week that they typically do. We do a lot of very similar things: house parties, pool parties. We're going to go to Gator golf and bowling. Might do some movie nights or whatever else. When our overriding imperative to be responsible as church leaders here is not to get our groups together.
I've heard David's come to me several times, maybe some other staff members as well. Lance, this is what I'm thinking about trying to get some kids together. I'm trying to maybe get a few guys together to do this or that. Do you think we can? I mean, it's just trying to process what is okay to responsibly do. And too many times the answer has been not necessarily from us, but as you collectively, probably not.
Probably shouldn't do that. And so we're gonna try to welcome in our 7th graders a little better this Friday night. Got a little shindig going to take place up here at the church. Got some of my new student leaders coming, going to help us run that thing. Looking forward to it. But man, how important is it for the church to get together? Not just for youth group. This is a big part of who we are and what we do. But for the church, right? I mean, how big?
And so most of you all know that this past Sunday we feel like we're getting back into more full programming.
Finally,
if we call it that. So Sunday school, in-person Sunday school, where we count on a lot of that community building to happen around the study of God's Word, but not just Bible study Sunday morning. That ministry really reaches out into care ministries, fellowship ministries, community building ministries. All those things just felt like, obviously, they're halting as well. Well, we got to, in a sense, crank that up, start that back up again this past Sunday morning. As well, and so what an experience it was. I remember I sat in with our youngest adults because I actually taught in that group. There, they said we still needed somebody to be able to teach that group this past Sunday morning. So taught Song of Songs to our youngest married couple.
Woo!
That was all right. We had a good time in there doing that, but to be able to just have conversation in the same room with people, seeing their faces spread out appropriately, and those things, and getting to see reactions and get comments. Boy, I agree with Daniel. When you finally can do that again, you realize how much you liked it, how much you need that. You kind of talked about that, just not forsaking. What'd you say in the scripture there in Hebrews?
I was just about to pull it out, actually. So Hebrews chapter 10, verses 23 to 25. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how to stimulate one another to love and good deeds, not forsaking our own assembling together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So we've been in an unprecedented, difficult time in living out this charge inside of Hebrews. But by the grace of God, there are some avenues now for us to unforsake
Yes.
the gathering of the people.
Yeah.
To do what we can, to do it as responsibly as we can. But man, how important is it going to be for us to put this thing back together?
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because we didn't choose not to meet. COVID kind of forced that upon
That's
us. So it's not like we were any of us individuals, any of us families, any of us are saying, well, we're going to go do this instead. But we had conversations long before COVID was even ever thought of happening, about what's trending in the American evangelical church that is seen out there, and I think
That's here too.
We are
it's
that.
Here too.
That's us as well. But what's trending is the regular attendance of church members. Those that are considered these are our regular
active
attenders,
members of the church. Sure.
Attending 50% or less.
Yeah.
And so we're counting those as our regular attenders as well. And so that was a time when we were choosing collectively, if we're going to lump ourselves into that, we were choosing not to be there, not to gather as much. So maybe coming out of this.
So if there is a silver lining to the coronavirus, then Lance, what would you say?
I would say, I think I'm going to quote Daniel Goff.
Absolutely.
That
you can do a lot worse than that.
Now that I can see people, I realize how much I like it.
Absolutely.
And I think he was echoing the scriptures here, how much we're mandated. The reason we like it is because that's who we're created to be as God's people, is to gather together. So this next Sunday morning, we want to invite you to be able to be here responsibly and safely for you and where you're at. We realize still that there's probably some we would say, hey, you're welcome to come, but maybe you need to stay home.
Sure.
But others of you can make it out. It's an encouragement to others, and it's an encouragement to our Lord as well. So we hope you can be here this coming Sunday to gather for in-person Sunday school at 9 o'clock. Worship at 10:30. All right.
Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of First Connect, and we will catch you again before too long.